The book of Numbers tells of a time when the Israelites wandered in the desert, a vast and unforgiving landscape. They were on a journey to the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey as promised by God. But their journey was not easy. The harsh conditions tested their faith and endurance. The people often faced hardships and grumbled against God and their leaders, Moses and Aaron. In Numbers 16, we find the story of Korah's rebellion, a stark reminder of the dangers of pride and the importance of trusting in God's plan for his people. Korah was a Levite, from the tribe chosen to serve in the tabernacle, a sacred duty. He was a leader among the people, respected and influential. But Korah became discontent with his position, feeling it was not enough. He wanted more power and authority, desiring to elevate himself above others. He gathered other leaders and challenged the authority of Moses and Aaron, questioning their leadership. These men let jealousy and pride fill their hearts, leading them astray. The rebellion of Korah was a turning point in the journey of the Israelites, a moment of great significance. It showed what happens when pride and envy take root, causing division and strife. It also reveals God's response to those who challenge his chosen leaders and his divine plan, a powerful lesson for all. Why did Korah rebel? The scriptures reveal that envy and pride were the root causes. Korah looked at Moses, God's chosen leader. He saw the authority and honor given to him. Instead of rejoicing in Moses' leadership, Korah allowed envy to grow in his heart. He coveted Moses' position and the respect he received. Pride also played a significant role in Korah's downfall. He began to think too highly of himself and his own importance. Korah forgot the importance of humility and submission to God's chosen order. His pride blinded him to the truth that God had placed Moses in leadership for a reason. The story of Korah serves as a warning to us all. Envy and pride are dangerous sins that can lead us astray. They can blind us to the truth and lead us to make choices that have devastating consequences. Korah, along with Dathan, Abiram, and 250 other leaders, confronted Moses and Aaron. They publicly questioned their authority, accusing them of exalting themselves above the congregation. "You have gone too far," they said to Moses. "The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" These accusations were a direct challenge to God's chosen leadership. Korah and his followers claimed that Moses and Aaron were not special. They implied that they had taken power for themselves. But Moses and Aaron had been appointed by God himself. To challenge them was to challenge God's authority. The rebellion of Korah and his followers was not just about leadership. It was about their relationship with God. By rejecting Moses and Aaron, they were rejecting God's plan and his authority over their lives. Faced with such a bold challenge, Moses fell face down. He appealed to God for guidance. God spoke to Moses and Aaron, instructing them to separate themselves from the rebels. The Lord would show who was truly chosen. God instructed Moses to tell Korah and his followers to take censers and stand before the Lord. Each man was to fill his censer with fire and incense. The Lord would then show his approval by sending fire to consume the incense. This would be a clear sign of God's chosen leader. Moses warned Korah and his followers, urging them to reconsider their actions. He pleaded with them to see that they were not rebelling against him and Aaron, but against God himself. But Korah and his followers refused to listen. They were blinded by their pride and determined to have their way. The next day, Korah and his followers gathered before the tent of meeting, each with a censer in hand. The Israelites watched with bated breath, knowing that God himself would settle this dispute. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. The Lord spoke directly to Moses and Aaron, commanding them to separate themselves from the assembly so that he might consume the rebels in an instant. Moses and Aaron interceded for the people, begging God to spare them. God heard their prayer, but his judgment was swift and decisive. The earth split open and swallowed up Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, along with their families and possessions. Fire blazed forth from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. The earth closed again and the rebellion was over. The people were left to ponder the awesome power of God and the terrible consequences of rebellion. Fear and trembling gripped the Israelites as they witnessed the fate of Korah and his followers. The ground had opened up and swallowed them alive, a terrifying display of divine power that left the people in shock and awe. The ground had swallowed them alive. The earth itself seemed to rebel against the rebels, consuming them in a dramatic and horrifying spectacle. They realized the gravity of their rebellion and trembled at the thought of God's wrath. The fear of divine retribution was palpable, and the people were left to ponder their actions. Even after such a display of power, their fear almost immediately turned back into grumbling against Moses. The human heart is fickle, and the Israelites quickly forgot the lesson they had just witnessed. They blamed him for the death of the rebels. Their anger and frustration needed an outlet, and Moses became the target of their misplaced rage. Again, God's anger burned against the Israelites. The cycle of rebellion and divine punishment seemed unending, a testament to the stubbornness of the people. He sent a plague among them. The consequences of their actions were swift and severe, as the plague spread rapidly through the camp. Moses, ever the intercessor, acted quickly. He understood the urgency of the situation and knew that immediate action was required to save the people. He instructed Aaron to take his censer, fill it with burning coals from the altar, and stand between the living and the dead to make atonement for them. This act of intercession was their only hope. Aaron obeyed, standing in the gap between the people and God's wrath. His actions were a powerful symbol of mediation and mercy. His actions stopped the plague, but not before 14,700 people had died. The cost of rebellion was high, and the aftermath was a somber reminder of the consequences of defiance. The rebellion of Korah and its aftermath serves as a stark reminder that God is holy and just. The people were left to reflect on their actions and the nature of divine justice. He will not tolerate rebellion against his authority. The story underscores the importance of respecting divine order and the consequences of challenging it. The story also highlights the importance of humble obedience and the dangers of allowing pride and envy to take root in our hearts. It is a timeless lesson in humility and reverence for divine authority. The story of Korah's rebellion offers several timeless lessons for us today. This ancient tale, found in the scriptures, is not just a historical account, but a moral compass guiding us through the complexities of human emotions and divine expectations. First, it teaches us about the dangers of pride and jealousy. These emotions, if left unchecked, can lead us down a path of self-destruction and conflict with others. Pride can blind us to the truth and lead us to make foolish and even dangerous choices. It distorts our perception, making us believe we are invincible or above reproach. Jealousy can poison our hearts and relationships, causing us to resent the blessings God has given to others. It creates a barrier between us and those we should cherish and support. Like Korah, we must guard our hearts against these destructive emotions. By doing so, we can maintain a sense of peace and harmony within ourselves and with those around us. Second, Korah's rebellion reminds us to respect God's chosen authority. This respect is crucial for maintaining order and unity within any community. God has established order and authority in the world, both in the church and in society. These structures are meant to guide us and help us grow in faith and character. When we rebel against godly authority, we are ultimately rebelling against God himself. This rebellion can lead to chaos and a breakdown of the moral fabric that holds us together. Finally, the story of Korah's rebellion shows us the importance of humility and trust in God's plan. Humility allows us to recognize our limitations and depend on God's wisdom. Moses, despite being challenged and accused, remained humble and submitted to God's will. His example teaches us the power of patience and faith in the face of adversity. He trusted that God would vindicate him in his own time and way. This trust is a cornerstone of a faithful life, reminding us that divine justice prevails. Like Moses, we should strive to live lives of humility, seeking God's will above our own, and trusting in his perfect plan for our lives. This path leads to true fulfillment and peace. Even when we don't understand, God is just and merciful. His ways are higher than ours, and his plans are always for our ultimate good. He will always be faithful to those who trust in him. In every trial and triumph, his faithfulness remains our anchor.